For the people that don't know, they might just like, this dude just sitting up here think he know everything. Tell these folks some of the artists that you work with.
Man, I done worked with. I want to shout out my artist first, Yellow Pain.
Yellow Pain,
Yeah.
what up, what up, what up?
I would say he my favorite, but I done worked with Jakari out of Atlanta, Young Dro, Drummer Boy. I done been in a couple recording sessions with Lotto. I done worked with Young Ralph out of Atlanta.
Right.
Wrote for 7th Streeter on a Yellow record.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bigger list than that. And I worked with 112. So, I mean, I done worked with the new cats, the young cats. I done worked under Mase. I worked for Mase as like his head of production.
Yeah.
For, I'll say, a year or so. And
About a year or so, yeah.
We had a good relationship as well, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of...
That means a lot for people that might have conversation with you, just think you're just rambling on. And then when you bring out that resume, like...
Yeah, I don't be name dropping, but, you know, it's definitely popping. You know
it's definitely got a thick list.
Yeah, for sure.
This is what's up. This is what's up, man. What would you tell somebody that's coming up in the game, that's looking forward to, like, you know, they want to get into it, they going in head first? You know, any type of advice. What would you give somebody? What advice would you give somebody coming up in the game?
I would say to get a head start would be to lock in on your craft and in the midst of learning, document. You know what I mean? Because me and Yellow, we always spent a lot of time just building the catalog, working on the music, learning the craft, but we wasn't releasing as much as we should have.
Right.
And I would tell anybody coming up now, focus on releasing as much, like, while you're learning. Don't just be learning and not releasing. You know, a lot of people get scared to jump over that hurdle of putting stuff out. Don't put it out too soon where it's not developed. But once you develop something, start dropping immediately.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
I know you was giving my son some advice, man. You know, he was doing a lot of listening.
Yeah.
And then when it's time for you to speak, he was doing a lot of listening too. So that was great, man. And he was taking it in. He still talked to me this day about, like, hey, you know, like, what's up? He sent me songs like trying to, you know, utilize the advice that you gave him.
For sure.
So I was like, okay, I was sitting back just paying it. I just want to pay attention, see what he gonna do,
right.
See where he gonna go with this. So he been taking it in, man. So I want to take this time to say thank you, man, for that, man.
Of course.
Because my son needed it. Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
If I offer you my time, I'm genuine. I'm gonna pull up. It ain't gonna be no fee. If I ain't got time, I don't have time. You know what I mean? Hopefully you can understand. No hard feelings, but when I got time, I'm gonna give it and I'm gonna listen intently.
Yeah.
You know, I'll say some hard truths, what could be better, and I also, you know, make sure I'm letting you know what's amazing.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you.
What's one of the roughest moments that you could think of? Whether it was Atlanta, Cincinnati, you said LA.
Yeah, LA, San Diego.
San Diego. Yeah. What's one of the roughest dealings that you had to overcome? Like, you know, I remember one time you told me about you had to leave all that behind, all your music and everything. But what's one of the roughest moments that you had that you could think of?
It's a countless amount, honestly. But I would say the whole path to finding myself in music was rough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just because I'm from Dayton, Ohio originally. You know, I'm a product of that city.
Right.
So
big ups to Dayton. Okay.
For sure, 937. But you know, where we come from, all we had was Roger Troutman, Ohio players. It's a bunch of old cats who had success, but then, you know, succumbed to being addicted to, you know, whatever they was addicted to, going through their hardships.
Right.
So it's just, I would say, just trying to prove it to myself from Dayton, Ohio was probably my hardest hill I had to climb.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And I've been through a lot of stuff, but I'm gonna give it to making it from Dayton.
Yeah, because they look at you like, anytime, I think it seems like, unless you from maybe another city like Atlanta, something like that, or New York, it's like they look at you like it's so hard to, you know, come up through, you know, trying to get your music out there because so many people is pulling you back.
That part, yeah.
Ain't that crazy?
Yeah.
They don't want to see you do your thing. They pulling you back, man. So it's kind of hard to, you know, get your thing popping when it comes to, you know, trying to come out of your own city. So sometimes you have to go out and get it. So what did actually make you want to move to another city or another state?
I had at the time when I left, I was about 17, 18 years old when I moved to California.
Right.
I had an older homie who was more of like an executive manager. And he had pursued us to getting out of Dayton. He said, let's try to take what we're doing and go to Cali with it and, develop what we're doing out there. I always challenge myself. Like, people in my city would say, you're so amazing, but I wouldn't believe it. I'd be like, I got to go to Atlanta and find out. I have to go to California and see if I'm amazing there, to see if I'm a contender. To see if I'm a contender, because I would never buy the hype,
Right.
And so he actually took a leap when I was 18, moved to California, and, he was a big influence in my life, you know what I mean? So, I would say he made the move happen, and I did my job when we got out there.
Yeah, man. Myself, when it comes to like just me believing in myself or whatever, I ain't gonna say believing in myself, but just like you said, like they say I'm sounding like this and I'm cool and stuff, but I don't feel it.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I hear y'all, but I don't feel it. Yeah. So when I went to other city, I was real leery. Like, let me see what's going on. Like, the whole signing record label deal, I was still like, this is not real, dude. Something gonna happen any moment that ain't right. Something going on crazy.
And I honestly, I feel like that could be trauma. You know what I mean? Like having stuff in your possession and then having it taken away from you.
Yeah.
We deal with that as black people a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when something is going good, you're like, when is it going to get messed up? You know what I mean? So
I'm waiting any moment.
Yeah, and I think it wasn't until I moved to Atlanta and started doing stuff just solely by myself and working with everybody I wanted to work with and having to build connections from the ground up and working in multiple studios,
right, that
I actually did gain the confidence that people had in me already. You know what I mean? Because it was like, okay, I had to build this from nothing.
Yeah. I feel you, man. That's amazing, man. That once you got there, God allowed you to see that it's real. Yeah, I'm gonna show you it's real
for sure.
And like, speaking on that, what's one of your first, I would say, lightweight or even extra major artists that you worked with when you first got there?
When I first got to Atlanta, honestly, I would say, and people don't know this, so I feel like Mase changed my life. He put me with a bunch of young artists. He had Polo G in the studio, Fabio Foreign, just a bunch of people already, making noise, coming to the studio, you know what I mean?
This was down in Atlanta?
Yeah, this was when I got to Atlanta, yeah.
I don't know why, I know he was living there.
He in Atlanta heavy, you know what I mean? And when I got there, he welcomed me with open arms. I was actually his engineer, and he didn't know I made beats. And I was I was working for a label called Empire as an engineer, like a subsidiary, just kind of a fill-in engineer. I was in the studio making beats, and he just happened to walk in one of the rooms and said, "Jamal, you make beats?" My wife was there, and they said, "I got goosebumps on my arms right now. Yo, play that again." I had my drum machine or whatever. I played it again. He's like, and then he just pulled me in with open arms. He was like, he just started cashing me out for beats. So I was paid. Now at this point, I could invest more into the music, get all the equipment I needed. So I would say working with Mase initially. And shout out to my dog Cash Junkie at Icon Studios. He connected me together. He said, "All right, Mase is upstairs. We'll put you with a celebrity today. Don't freak out. But you about to be engineering for Mase, and then after that, it's just been on the floor."
Hold up, bro. Hold up. Don't run past that like it ain't nothing special.
Yeah.
What was going through your head when he said, "Hey, I want you to breathe, drink a glass of water real quick"?
Yeah.
But Mase, what was going through your head right there?
I was just excited for somebody to give me the chance. You know what I mean?
You was with your wife at the time?
Yeah, we've been together since.
What she say when you told her that?
I can't. Yeah. We've been together 13 years, but I would say she was just tripped out. You know what I mean? Like, but every day, it seemed like ever since that day, every day was with celebrities. You know what I'm saying?
Wow,
it never stopped. My confidence started growing. I just kept being. First it was Mase, then it was my own situations, like working with Drummer Boy, like just all these different circumstances.
Drummer Boy cold
happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this was up.
And I would just say it was kind of like a snowball effect. You know what I mean? I was ready for it though.
You was ready
from being out in California for so long. I was just ready to show that I could do it.
Yes, that's what's up, man. That's amazing, man. I love that, man. I love hearing stories. I don't think unless I skipped it, because we always be in interviews and somebody say something and I'd be like, so they'd be like, you just asked that question. So just forgive me if but tell us about the story where you don't want to talk negative about what happened, but what happened when you had to leave everything? Did you ever say something about that?
Yeah, I kind of breezed past it,
Right.
you know, being political. But yeah, the person that I said had moved me out to California, honestly, we had came to odds. You know, I was growing. You know, when I got with him, I was a young producer, and by the time I left, we had one of the most popping studios in San Diego and in Southern California.
Right.
And we had celebrities coming through this studio he and I had built, and we just kind of went our separate ways. And then in the midst of the separation, I don't really like to argue.
I don't want to win the battle. I want to win the war. So I just said, hey, you can keep everything. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna do it on my own.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be somebody bigger than who I am today. And you know, I probably will never speak to you again unless I see you at the top. And I just left it at that. And we haven't spoke, but I've been in a lot of crazy rooms.
Yeah. You blessed now.